Hey everyone, how you doing today? We have Jonathan Twombly back for episode number 2. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. So I saw an article on February 4th published by the New York Times that talked about the 10 cities with the largest rent declines and the 10 cities with the largest rent increases. I looked at it from a single family guy and operator and was very pleased to see my city on the good side of this equation. But when I looked at this and thought about our Thursday conversations, I'm like, oh my God, a lot of these cities with the large rent declines used to be the spots where can't miss had the lowest cap rates and all of these things. So I thought I would do is I'll read the list of the top 10 declines, kind of talk about that, and then talk about the 10 largest increases, because I think there's an investing thesis here that's probably very different than 2 years ago. Sound good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the title of the article, New York Times, is How the Pandemic Blew Up Rents. If anybody wants to look for it, I'll find the link and put it below. So the 10 largest decreases. Do you want to take a guess at a couple?
Austin, Texas.
So decrease.
Oh, decrease. Oh, really? So that's probably an increase. All right. So decrease. New York City.
Yep. Number 2, 21. Yep.
San Francisco.
Yep. Number 1.
Let's see. Los Angeles.
Not on the list.
Not on the list. Las Vegas.
Not on the list.
Not on the list.
It's on the other list, though.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why that is. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Let's see. Seattle.
Yes. Number 3.
Minneapolis.
Nope.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Nope. All right. I'll read the list of 10.
All right. I'm not good at this game.
Well, you
so,
got the
tell
top
me
3. You got the top 3.
I got the top 3. Yeah.
So San Francisco, negative 27%. New York, negative 21. Seattle, negative 20. Boston, negative 19. Oakland, California, negative 15. Washington, D.C., negative 14. Arlington, Virginia, negative 14. San Jose, California, negative 13. Chicago, negative 12. And Jersey City, New Jersey, negative 12.
I'm not surprised by any of that except for Washington, just because I would have assumed that since it's all government, that it wouldn't have been affected as much. But yeah, and I would have actually thought the reason I guessed some of the other cities is because they've had a lot of building, right? I mean, there's like massive amount of supply coming on in some of those cities, but maybe they've been able to weather it. So interesting.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not totally surprised. I'm not really surprised at most of that list because it tends to be like very dense,
exactly,
concentrated urban core cities.
Yep.
That you threw me a little bit off because when you were talking about the investment thesis, well, this is sort of institutional money, right? Institutional money. Love those places because they were just blue
safest.
Chip. Yeah, the safest blue chip cities forever, right? Because of what they are, right? And but I was thinking when you said that, I was like in my multifamily syndicator world where everybody in that world is going to not yours. We were just thinking two different things. Where everybody is going south, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And that continues.
Yeah.
So what's the other?
So just one more thought on this. The big thing when I go through this list is, I think, and I've said this a year ago when this all started, is every crisis was going to challenge one of your assumptions that you've always thought would never change. And this is like the perfect example, right? The blue chip insurance companies, right? Can't miss New York, can't miss San Francisco, can't miss Seattle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, let's also sort of define what can't miss means, though. Can't miss is like safe place to put your money, right? And that's why the cap rates were so low. Not like, hey, we're going to go and make a killing on this, which is kind of what the syndicators want to do.
True.
But this was like, hey, we're an insurance company. We have to invest in, class AAA, blue chip, safest everything. So where are we going to go? Well, we're going to go to the biggest cities and the gateway cities where, it's where the rents are the highest. You've got the highest incomes, and we're just going to park the money there, right? Because you can't lose it. Well, now that we're seeing that you can't lose places. It's not right 100% of the time, right? You do have these black swan events that happen, and that upset everybody's
Yeah.
apple cart. That
And
being said, I think now there's a lot of opportunity in those places to
exactly.
buy stuff at a bargain, right? Because and especially, and I love hearing this, frankly, you know, New York is over. Everyone is going to leave New York, right?
Yeah.
That's great. I love hearing that.
Yeah, me too.
Because what that means is that we know it's not true. Like some people have left, right?
Yeah.
Many of those people were probably planning on leaving anyway, and this pushed them over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is not, everybody is not leaving. But if lots of people think everybody is leaving, then that means fewer buyers, means better cap rates, means more money in your pocket if you buy there. So if you've got the capital, while everybody is scared of, oh my God, should I invest in New York because everyone's leaving? The answer for you should be, if that's a market that you like, yes, absolutely, 100%. Go and buy stuff now when the bargains are to be had. And same thing in San Francisco. I mean, 27% decline in rent, that can be, as we've discussed in earlier episodes, that could be a 50% decline in value, right?
Exactly.
So you're not necessarily going to get a 50% discount unless the thing goes to foreclosure. But you may find somebody who's ready to throw in the towel and just wants it off their hands because they can't see the future, or as we discussed in the last episode, they're not well capitalized enough to ride it out.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, there could be a lot. Again, this is all opportunity to me. I see this list, I see opportunity. Now it's opportunity stretched out over time, commercial financing, revaluations, thinly capitalized, right? There will be apartment buildings that have been in people's families for decades that are now lost because they did a cash out refi or recapitalization.
If they were looking around, a year ago and saying, look at the valuation on this property. How much money can I pull out now? And look how low interest rates are. If those people have lost, enough rent that they're now put themselves, in a situation where they can't pay, that's troublesome, right?
Every city on this list is seeing a decline in rents from 12 to 27%. They are also seeing increased vacancies. They are also seeing increased collection problems. There's not a lot of good information going on in any of these cities right now. And as we did in our video, probably 3 months ago, just a couple of small tweaks, much smaller than all of these, we took a building and cut it in half. This is a real deal. So, okay, let's go to the positive side. Now this, I suspect this will be a difficult, let's just have you guess 2 cities. And let's just see, increases in rents range from 12 to 7%, just so you have a scale.
Okay, so Las Vegas, I think you already hinted
I hinted at that. North Las Vegas, just so we're...
North Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Nope. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's going to be some obscure places.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So Boise, Idaho, it's actually a city I've talked about a bunch. It's the most overvalued city. Again, supply-demand problem makes perfect sense. Number 2 is the city I love to hear, Fresno, California.
Fresno, yep. You're sitting pretty.
11%, baby. Gilbert, Arizona, Chesapeake, Virginia, Bakersfield, California. That's like 75 minutes south of where I am. It's pretty small. Albuquerque, Greensboro, North Carolina, Glendale, Arizona, North Las Vegas, Nevada, and then Memphis is the list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those are cities that are just benefiting from people like bugging out and getting out of the cores, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah. So, and we don't know still whether those are permanent moves or temporary moves. I'm sure there's a mixture of both.
Sure.
Right. So,
the challenge for me on those cities is, again, we've talked about it before. It's been all over my channel, is these cities have seen, a decade worth of migration inside 10 months.
Yeah.
And why that's a problem is their builders and their supply wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right. So if they always have 100 units available, I'm just making this up, but then you have 1,000 people show up competing for the 100, you can't build the other 90 or whatever, 9,000, whatever it was.
It takes
build them fast enough.
Takes a couple of years. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that trend was going to push up values, and if values go up, rents will go up. I mean, I think these are investable trends. I think a lot of these, on the list that's growing, I think these are cities that millennials are interested in, right? The one, again, I think millennials are not being appreciated for the weight and how different their buying will be than baby boomers, right? Baby boomers are no longer the big boy in the room. It's the millennials. And I think millennials are clearly saying we're out of urban core. We want space, we want yards, we want more stuff. So I think there's investable trends here people need to pay attention to.
Absolutely. I mean, the interesting thing though too is that you know they want to buy, right? The
Mhm.
millennials who can buy want to buy, and that sort of upends the whole like millennials don't want to own homes
Exactly.
thing, which was never true,
Never true.
right? It was never true. It was so infuriating to see this, continually reported in the press and promoted by, certain people that will remain nameless.
Yeah.
That millennials don't ever want to own homes. I mean, it's just silly. Of course, they want to own homes. They were just putting off that buying decision until either they felt like it, or they were ready to settle in one location, or they
Mhm.
were had the money to do it. And now what we're seeing, interestingly enough, I saw it reported recently that these millennials who supposedly, you know, were weighed down by student debt, were never going to be able to buy anything and didn't want to buy anything anyway, are now, you know what they're buying?
Mm.
They're buying super expensive stuff. Like these poor millennials who have no money, right? Suddenly they're the ones who are buying like the $1 million, $2 million homes, right? And it's just, just goes to show you like you got to take everything with a grain of salt that you're reading about what, when everybody says like the millennials want to do X, like it's a, there's like 80 million of them, right? They're
Yeah.
not all doing the same thing.
Yeah,
You
the
know?
thing about millennials, and again, it's the same for every generation, right? They
Yeah,
they just they had life choices that they decided to delay. They're going to have that. They're going to have sex. They're going to have kids. They're going to want more space. I mean,
right.
we're all human beings, right? So, yeah, they are going to move the needle in the markets. And if you're a real estate investor, specifically multifamily, I mean, I think it behooves you to figure out where they want to go.
Mm,
That's where I'd be looking.
yeah.
It's like because what I've seen in other past generations, and I'm sure millennials will be the same, is the first movers will go out. They will talk about how cool Nashville is. I'm just picking a city,
Right.
and
Right.
then friends will come, and then their friends will come, and pretty soon Nashville's the spot. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to watch. The other thing I just realized on the list of 10 rent increases, only one is a state with zero income tax, and that was the very end, Memphis, Tennessee.
Interesting.
No other,
Interesting.
every other state has, I mean, California's in there twice.
Yep.
Arizona's in there twice. Oh, actually, Nevada's in there once. So I take that back. The last two, Nevada and Memphis, or North Las Vegas and Memphis. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, Nevada is interesting too because like you've got all these people who are moving there to escape California, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the economy of Las Vegas is devastated. I mean, it's just like
Oh,
it barely exists right now, right? And so
yeah.
eventually these two things are like reality is going to hit there where, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
I think you've got a kind of a short window, maybe a good time to be flipping stuff in Las Vegas, but
Probably.
get in, get out, like take advantage of this trend, get in, get out, because I think there's going to be some serious pain
Yeah, I
once,
wouldn't want to own I wouldn't
yeah,
want to own apartments in Vegas right now.
yeah.
No.
Once like the supply of people dries up, which it will, because again, this is like you said, this is the 10 years of migration in 1 year, not
Mm-hmm.
sustainable.
Not sustainable.
um, Once that dries up, then you've got to have a real economy, right? And kind of have like you have like the Phoenix, Arizona problem from the last time around. The economy of Phoenix, Arizona was basically based on people moving to Phoenix, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the whole economy was based on home building
Yeah.
for people moving there. And then once that stopped, like they had really bad times, right? And now they're back
Mm-hmm.
because people started moving there again. Basically, the single industry of Phoenix, which is building more of Phoenix,
Mm.
continued, right? But Las Vegas is sort of experiencing some of that right now. But at least they have the casinos, but the casinos are all dormant. They're dormant right now because nobody's going there.
Yeah.
So I think it's a get in, get out kind of thing.
Agreed.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna tie in, folks, to topic number 3. You're gonna want to pay attention to. We're gonna talk about how a trend that has been decades in the making might be reversing, and why that might be risk for multifamily, just to tease topic number 3. Thanks, Jonathan.
Absolutely.